What's up, guys? We are here.
Celeste and Super Mario 64, and we're also running a Paper Mario tournament right now as well. So it's kind of popping. The qualifiers have been pretty exciting so far. Some good matches going on, and that's pretty much what's going down these days.
Tell me about the qualifier. So this is a thing where it's not official. We're going to the finals kind of thing. It's like you work your way there. So like the top of the top players wouldn't be there, but they're working their way there, right?
Say that again.
So let me say it a little more succinctly. So like these qualifiers aren't for like Cheese wouldn't be in the qualifier, Punkay wouldn't be in the qualifier, right? It's kind of like people to try to get their way there.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yep. That's correct. I think it's top. I don't want to be wrong, but I might be wrong. It's like top 8 or top 9 of the season 1 leagues finishers had the option to stay on into the league, and so most people stayed. And now the qualifiers are to take those last 3 spots of the leagues, last 3 or 4.
Okay, cool. I like that because it gives people that a chance, something to work for, right? I mean, you got to start somewhere, and just getting in the league is cool. I know you have prepared a video for us. Do we want to start with that now? Anything else you want to set up before we get to that video, or how should we do this?
That sounds good to me, man.
All right, this is Sib's video breaking down more of the GSA stuff. Enjoy.
What is up, gamers? It's your boy, Simply, and here I am. I'm here. It's time. We're running down within the rundown. First week of qualifiers has happened, and it's popping. It's bopping. It's non-stopping. It's going off. Season 2 is happening, so here we go. Super Mario Odyssey, any percent league qualifier tournament. Let's take a look at how things are looking. Now, Group A and Group B are pretty... I mean, Group A is finished. Group B, one more match to be played, but you can sort of see what's going on here. Mitch is going to be advancing pretty much guaranteed out of here, and all new Luke, of course, going forward. In Group B and Group A, we got Tyron 18 and Okra Armband. Let's go ahead and take a look at the matches. Okra defeated PETA, defeated Golden Lily, but was unable to defeat Tyron, and this is why Tyron is the first seed, or excuse me, first rank out of here. And Tyron, sort of tyrant, if you will, kind of tearing through here. A lot of T's, taking out Golden Lily, Pain, PETA, and you already heard Okra. That's it for Group A. Now, if you're wondering what exactly this means, they set to advance to the final stage. Once everyone has advanced through their groups, we'll move on to the final stage, and the top 5 finishers from here will move on to the league for Season 2. So it's getting spicy. We're just kind of getting in there, but yeah, that's what's going on. Up next, Pape. We have got a Paper Mario Glitchless Invitational. It is happening. It is currently going on. Salty Shaz has defeated Drogi and is waiting to battle up against J-Cog. Going to be a fearsome battle. Still waiting on Venev and Wet Blanket. Actually, I believe that match is happening right now as I'm recording this, or it just finished. I think it's going on right now. Evan 44 defeated by Kendall. Moving forward, got Chomsky in these quarterfinals, and Retro Chris taking out XXN1, but being defeated by Glower. It's chugging along, it's happening, and it's pretty hype. Up next, Celeste. We're back for Season 2. Here is what's going on, gamers. Group A, one more match to complete. It appears as though a Port Tick has not played any matches at all, so gonna have to see how he does, but it's looking pretty good for Marlin, but Comet may or may not make it in. We will have to see about that one. But in Group B, Aurora Dash, 3 clean ones, and very close. Star Cruncher, 2 losses and a win. I mean, the point differential, you know, it's like, oh, wow, a lot, but I don't know. Look at this. 1 win from each of the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th ranked players. That's why you never give up. Even if you're down, you want to try and finish as close as you can to get those points. Taking it home there in Group B. Not too shabby, not too shabby. The Group C and Group D will start taking place this week, so it's going to be popping. You know how it's going. July 8th, July 14th, you know, it's happening. And sort of same thing. people heading to the final stage, and the top 5 finishers will be moving forward into the league. Excuse me, top 4. My bad. Okay. Super Mario 64. Last, but certainly not least, it has been going off. 70-star, absolutely amazing category to watch, commentate, and a pretty good race category, to say the least. I mean, you don't have the BLJs. RNG's not really that big of a deal, only in a couple stars. It's a very clean category. And Group A and Group B have finished up. Wilco and Yale advance, taking out Saren and Zoofy. Draws and Badronis advance in Group B over Gothic Logic and Max 25. And Draws and Badronis actually coming in. It looks, okay, 90-0. It looks like a bop, but very close race. Badronis able to pull it out, and it'll be interesting to see how he ends up performing in the final stage, where the top 3 will end up going to Division 1, and 4th and 5th will end up going to Division 2. Now,
there we go, guys. Simply popping off with a great rundown, literally on the rundown of the leagues that are going on GSA. GSA is popping off this month. Yeah, good question about Bad Rainus here. Undefeated Bad Rainus. How tired were you when you recorded this video? Answer the question truthfully, please.
Did I seem that tired in that video? I was tired. I'll be honest. I recorded that Sunday night, and it was after a fairly long day. This part of the show is live. The video was recorded. It's meant to be recorded, but things happen. So now we're live. So it's popping.
Yeah, it's a long time since we had a live show, by the way. So yeah, we got to be on our toes here, getting ready for this live show. One thing you didn't mention on the video, and I want to ask about, is this SM64 Taz competition. I know there's a cool video that people can watch to learn about it, but can you tell me a little about that? Because it sounds like a cool idea for me, but how does that work, right? Because a Taz is kind of like do this and that's it, right? How is it a different competition every week?
So I don't know who actually makes the tasks, but for example, this week it was in TikTok Clock, and it was super cool actually. You had this new ability with Mario where if you press L, a wing cap box will spawn under him, and you can use 5 boxes is the limit, and you can only wall kick twice, and you're supposed to get the time jumps on moving bar star, and basically it's like come up with the fastest route possible to get to the star. And so people all make their own task route, and it was honestly insane. Huge time chunks cut off from there's been task challenges where the 1st through 5th are all very close, but with this one there were some crazy routes that were coming up. It was really fun to watch, and there were some bops. If you haven't seen it, I would definitely recommend it because it was super cool to watch. They're always super good. I think it's either every Saturday or every other Saturday.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, it's definitely a new idea.
Really
that's like a new way to do competition, right? Because a lot of people like the Taz thing, but they don't have a place to, hey, let's do this competition. That's really cool, and I hope that continues for sure. Anything else we're gonna hit on before we get to you talking about your stuff and other speedrunning news? What anything else we hit on to make sure these people know, these hot people in the chat know about it?
I think that's about good.
I think that's about good. Boys, you heard. I'm sorry. Let's get to your experience, your summer so far, your joyous and loving summer so far. So tell us about your, just give us the quick overview. How was your GDQ? What's some takeaways you have from that since you just
GDQ.
Get back there?
It's always a good time with the boys. I played a lot of Mario at this GDQ. My hands are in the best condition they've been in a while. So I was playing a lot of Mario, played a lot of Melee with Cheese and Punkay, and got to meet a lot of new people. It was pretty good. The same venue as it was last year, had the parties. Yeah, it was pretty lit. It's a good time.
So I'm not going to let you get away that easily. So this is one where you, Cheese, and pretty much Punkay were kind of on the camera very little, right? So that's what I want to know.
Yes.
What were you filling your time with? Because I think that's something as viewers we don't get to hear about, right? We see the stream room and that's it. So what did you do? What was a day like for you, a normal day at a GDQ?
A day in the life. All right.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I want.
Do you want me to be candid?
Candid,
100%
exactly.
real.
Don't hold anything back. It's not like we're live or anything. Just say whatever you want.
Yeah. All right. So basically, you wake up and you're a little bit hungover because last night was lit. So you wake up and then you go to Einstein's Bagels, which if you don't know what that is, it's like a bagel and coffee place. It's usually has coffee because it's mixed with Caribou. They're like a co-op thing. So you go there, you get the bagel. the hangover bagel, and then you pop that in your system, and then you're ready to go. And once you get back to the hotel, I mean, usually I would head down into the venue, walk around, see what's popping. There's the practice room. People practice. Honestly, okay, they call it. There's like the practice room and the casual room, but honestly, those names mean nothing. Like you'll have people competing in the practice room. You'll have people casually playing things in the Smash room, like stuff like that. Although the Smash room, they do a pretty good job of sticking to Smash. The rooms are pretty loosely named. You've got the board game room. I've been meaning to play board games, but I haven't gotten into them at GDQs yet. Like they're a lot of fun, but I just haven't done it. Spent a decent amount of time in the arcade. There's so many fun games you can play, and you get unlimited tries on every game. So you've got DDR unlimited. There's a super fun ping pong game. I don't know what board games are popular, actually. I literally didn't walk in the room. I just walked by it. And, once it gets to the evening, that's when, people start coming. I mean, people are drinking, like, in the morning. I can't do that, personally. I'd like to get something done. I like to have some productivity, so I'd usually have, like, a little bit of practice, or I'd play some Melee, which isn't the most productive thing, but it's a lot of fun. And there were a couple days where we went back to my house just to hang out with Simp Mom. People wanted to meet Simp Mom. We went to karaoke one day. That was a lot of fun. And yeah, it gets into the night, and then, you hang out, have some drinks with the boys, crack open a couple cold ones, and then you're just talking about speedrunning. It's quite a blast.
Cool. So then my next question then would be, how much of a disconnect is there for you in terms of what's going on the stream? Like, do you know, okay, tonight there's going to be, what's his name? Zallard is doing that, the punch out blindfolded, which is probably the most memorable run of the marathon for sure. Do you know that what that happened? Do you know that really was happening as a hype moment, or you kind of just doing whatever you want to do and whatever,
Yeah, you're kind of doing whatever you want to do. Like, there's definitely a disconnect. There are some nights where I did know what was going on. Like, there are some runs that I picked out. I watched the Breath of the Wild run. That was enjoyable. What else did I watch? I watched, like, one other run. I don't watch that many, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
That's sort of how it goes, like, you can watch these runs anytime. They put them all on YouTube, so if you really want to watch them, you can watch them. Watching them in the crowd is nothing. It's like, it's cool, but it's not like, wow, this is amazing. It's like, I want to take advantage of the time I have to physically meet and talk to my speed friends. And so, and that's sort of the same vibe, like Punk A, Cheese. I don't think either of them watched a run. And yeah, even my friend, I brought a friend, a real life friend from, around my town that I usually hang out with. Like he doesn't speedrun or anything, but he came to the event and he had a really good time. And he likes watching speedruns, and he was like, yeah, I'm going to watch this run. I'm going to watch that run. And then he just ended up watching like one of the runs.
So I guess the question that leads me now is that a negative? Is that a bad thing? I mean, I'm sure for your fun level, it wasn't a bad thing. But when you got people like Simp and you got Cheese and you got Punk and these big names out there, it'd be good if you had some kind of presence on the stream, even if you aren't playing, right? Or even if you saw them in the crowd's hyped. Like, so what was that like? I mean, there was plenty of times when the crowd was all filled, a lot of people. But would you say those are the more normies that are just there to hang out, other than people that really do stream, like you and Cheese and Punk and those kind of people?
I don't want to group them all up into like, yeah, they're normies, but that I don't know a lot. Like, I go into the stream room and I don't recognize like many people.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Probably.
Yeah. That's interesting. I mean, just to something like, taking this to GSA way and the pace and stuff, like pace is a much smaller thing, obviously. And there's less people that are just normies there. But that disconnect, I think, could be seen as a negative, right? Because if you're just there to see your friends, does that mean what's going on there, in terms of the real thing that's going on there, is that not doing enough to draw you in then, right? But I mean, again, this is like your 10th or whatever GDQ, right? So you've been around the block a few times.
But even since the first one, I wasn't going in the stream room. Like, it's just been consistent. I was never, maybe like one run, 2 or 3 at max. But the thing is, what's happening on stream isn't necessarily drawing me in, but what's happening off stream, like the rooms that they have full of CRTs. Like, I go in those rooms a lot. The arcade that they have is amazing. The venue is great. They have a pool, hot tub, the gym, and then they got the food nearby. So like, the event, like, while there is sort of a disconnect with the stream, I don't really see that as a huge negative, I guess.
Okay.
But
I guess
I
I
haven't
should see it.
pondered on that too much.
I guess I should see it more. It's like a convention. Well, it's like a convention where there's only a stream, but there's a lot of other people around you that are doing cool stuff that you can join too. That doesn't have to be the thing, right? It's just a real thing. Like Bad Drainus is a good question. That was kind of leading my way there. It sounds like someone should just make a meetup for speedrunners. You don't need a stream. It's much less expensive, right? You don't have any internet requirements and everything. Just here's a speedrun meetup, and you all go there and do the same thing, right? It just seems like there's some kind of business opportunity there, right?
I wonder how that would work actually, because I feel like if there's absolutely nothing there, like there's no TVs, there's no arcade, it's just hanging out with your friends, then not. I mean, there definitely wouldn't be a lot of people that would go.
Yeah.
There would be some people that would go, like the people who have a fairly large group of people that they already know, and like they're like, "Oh, are you going? I'm going. I'm down." But also GDQ, like they don't necessarily have a monopoly on it, but 2 events a year is pretty solid. Like I'm pretty happy to see them twice a year. Some people think that it's not enough, and now Pace is out here popping, and I definitely I don't mind going to more events, but yeah, that's sort of my stance on it.
Yeah. Well, I always think more events will be better to, GDQ is now like Super Bowl because it's been doing it for so long, and now so many people have that in their schedule. Like I've said it before, like Christmas is not cool because of the stuff that happens. It's cool because it happens every year, and you have so many memories that build up over the years of Christmas happening, right? So just like GDQ is the same in this much smaller scale, but summertime, I know GDQ's coming, I can't wait for that. And you got to put it in your schedule. And this is obviously a large amount of people do this, obviously, and people that don't really watch speedrunning outside of that because, GDQ's on this summer, I want to check it out. And you see the numbers on the stream. I mean, obviously, there's a reason that they have that big numbers because a lot of people that don't watch anything else, that never see a stream outside of, they don't open up Twitch outside of GDQ, they watch GDQ. But so then I guess the takeaway would be let's try to get some into GSA. How could we use? What do you think is good about GDQ that Pace could do that they didn't do last time? Or anything kind of, besides obvious stuff? Is there anything kind of you think you like that GDQ does that you wish Pace could do more of? Maybe.
I like the sideshows that they do, although they tend to always have some cringe. I think that's intentional at this point. Yeah. I think that it's like they're playing to that idea. Like they know that cringe happens at the conventions, and they're like, yeah, I'm just gonna have, because the skits that they have are just, so whoever's writing it, they're like, yeah, we need to have a little bit of cringe. Like put some cringe in there, make it just a little bit awkward.
Yeah.
And that's why I think they're funny. Like sometimes they're super funny just because they make me uncomfortable in a weird way. So I think that would be cool. Maybe having some sideshows where we can kind of sit down, and we sort of have that at Pace, but maybe more structured sort of things like player profiles during the day or something like that, where we can really get to know somebody and sort of understand their journey, not so much like a little post-race interview or a short recap of what happened, although the short recaps were good too.
But yeah, I think we need to break that. I think the Pace needs to break that cycle, though, of not saying they did this the first time because they didn't, but I found myself getting tired of here's a run, here's the interview, here's the next run. Here's a run, here's an interview, here's the next run. And it kind of just didn't. I think there should be way more variety. I'm not sure exactly what, but there should be way more variety. And again, I'm still waiting for it. The walk around the venue camera. Sometimes I really want to see that because I want to see that kind of feeling of being there. Because as I said, when you're watching, you are not there. You are in a one room and that's it.
Yeah.
And then you're missing a lot. But I want to see more. What else can we go with that in between run stuff, right? Because let's be honest, it has to be there because it has to cover those, preparing for the next run times, which are getting exceedingly longer, it seems. But I don't know, So that's one thing I would think of. I think the walk around is a good idea. Interviews, you got to have some interviews. But I want to sit down and watch. How about showing a video of someone practicing, right? Just for 5 minutes or something. That'd be really cool to see. What are you working on right now? Simply when you're playing. Oh, I'm playing Smash. Oh, okay, you're not working on anything. That kind of thing. That'd be cool. We really got to push that thing because that's what I think you can differentiate from what GDQ does a lot, because GDQ is just here's the run, here's an interview, let's go to some Twitter questions, and they're always the lamest questions, just not lame. When I say lame, I mean the most obvious questions of all time. How'd you start that game? How'd you find that game? What got you running this game? You know what I'm saying. It's not negative, but you could push it a little bit more than that voice. You know what I mean? But okay. So before we get to, don't want to change subjects yet because I want to talk about some GDQ, as there always is, drama stuff. So obviously you heard about the shift situation. I'll do a quick recap here. Shift was a bonus game candidate, so he was not initially accepted to GDQ. They told him 2 days before he was on this show 2 weeks ago when he said he got the email, and they said you're coming on this day, Friday, or whatever. And then he gets ready. He changes his flight plan. He was going to go GDQ anyway, but not at the same time, so he changed his flight plans. And then a few days later, they say, "Hey, you can't come and you can't submit games anymore because of some content that happened."
Yep.
So I guess first I'll throw it to you. What your thoughts on that? Good or bad? Anything? Share what your thoughts.
So, I mean, obviously people change. It was, if I am remembering correctly, I didn't really dig too deep into it. I mean, drama can be interesting, but a lot of times I don't try to go too deep into it. But if I remember correctly, it was something that happened months ago. Was the incident? Is that confirmed? Is that what it was?
Well, yeah. He's got a long time ago. I think almost 12 months ago or something. Yeah, that happened. And so I guess because I agree too, most drama is dumb. The only reason this drama is not dumb is because what they did to Shift is effed up, basically. They said, please come here, and then, oops, we found something you did in your past that you can't come. It's not like Shift is someone that's like, Metroid Runner 47819 who's never done a run ever before, and you never see a stream. He's a guy making his living on streaming, right? So how many people do that are speedrunners? 20, 30. It's easy to keep track on those kind of guys, right? To know the kind of guys they are, the thing they do, right? So that's the only thing I feel bad about is that how can you do that with Shift when it's not like is it that not that common knowledge that he is like that on his stream? He is very yelly, if you know what I mean. You know what I mean? He is very combative with people that are trolls, right? And okay, yeah, Shift, we'd love to have you in our marathon to represent our charity. Oops, we found something you did a long time ago that you can't do it. And then they didn't tell him that right away. That's the bad part.
It's I mean, there's this happens in music too, where there's a musician that's, they've done something controversial and then people are like, okay, you got to boycott their music. But it's like Shift, he's like a very solid streamer. And when he did his run at Pace, it was like a very good run. A lot of people enjoyed it. Great commentary. It's a solid to have on the roster. But GDQ, I feel like they're just at a position now where they know they can get away with things like this because there's just so much support behind them. And also people have brought up things about their sponsors, they're for charity, things like that, and they don't really want to get caught in the dirt. But it's just it feels I don't think immature is the word, but it feels kind of wrong because I feel like that it's not only Shift. There's definitely people who are running in the marathon that you could go dig into their VODs, and I'm sure you could find someone saying something just as bad or worse. Mm-hmm. So it kind of feels like a witch hunt in a way. I don't know why that would be, but yeah, it seems like they almost have it out for him or something like that. I don't.
Yeah,
really
I don't
know.
think it's actually GDQ has it out for him, but I think Shift does have his haters. I mean, that is
yes.
sure. He does have some people that do not like Shift in any way.
Can we?
We got
talk about that for a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
Why does Shift have so many haters? Does anybody know?
It's people. Obviously people are jealous of other people especially people that are very successful. That's the first thing. When you're successful, that increases your chance of being hated a lot, right? Multiple times over. So he's a successful streamer, and he is very opinionated, and he does kind of come off confident and thinking what he says is correct a lot. And some people don't like that. He is kind of, this is the way I think, and I'm going to tell you the way I think. And I don't think that's bad, but some people I think don't like that. And then once you get 2 or 3 people thinking the same thing, there you go. Troy of Athens says it in a stronger way. He started his career insulting his viewers, which could be true.
Is that true?
So he is. I don't know how long you ever watched him stream. I've watched a few streams just to see what's going on, and he is very combative when people say stuff that. But I would argue, is it any worse than someone like Worcester? Worcester does the same thing, and Worcester is very combative when you say a stupid idea, like, oh, you should have used bind or bide there instead of. Waterfall, and then he'll say, let me tell you why that was stupid. You're stupid, and let me tell you why that was stupid. That's the kind of person that Worcester is too. Again, another person that's banned from GDQ or maybe banned from GDQ, but I don't know. It's interesting that he has so many haters, and apparently on Twitter there was a Twitter account that was saying hey, we got Shift this time. Good job, guys. But they could just be saying that anyway. You know what I mean? Even if they weren't the people that did that. You know what I mean? But yeah, Shift did have a good tweet longer about that. Go read that if you want more information. Let's drop out of this conversation. But the only thing that I think GDQ can improve on is saying why you got, of course, checking on the person you want to run. Is this someone we really want to have running a game before we ask them to change their flight plans and do it? It might be worth it for someone on that staff to think about it and say, hey, do we want to do this? It's not like it's a random thing for Shift to do. Using that word is not something he does regularly, but he does combat his viewers a lot. So
he does.
You know what I mean? So let's think about it.
Indeed, he does.
And also be a little bit transparent about why. You don't have to get too deep, but just give a one-word answer about why, right? That's kind of messed up to the person, is just say, hey, you can't submit. That's it.
Yeah, like that. It's just like beating around the bush. Like, why wouldn't you tell the person? It's just, it doesn't make sense. Like, you need to have transparency. Super important.
And, that's it. Enough about Shift. Enough about Shift for sure. I want to know, how about this? I was going to ask Cheese when he was on, but he couldn't come on this week. But when you get back from GDQ, and when you were streaming more regularly and you still went to GDQ, what's that like, right? Does it take a while to get your momentum back into streaming and stuff, because I feel like it is kind of when you're a streamer that's a full-time streamer and you do go to GDQ and you come back, it is kind of, you lost some subs, you lost some hype, what's that like when you were streaming more regularly? Of course, you had to go through that.
Yeah, so I'm not quite sure what to call it. Some people say GDQ blues. I don't think that's what I have or what I would call it. But my theory on it is just like, it's a week-long, for some people, it's a week-long bender. So first of all, your body is just like getting destroyed by toxins. So that's happening. You've got that running in the background. You're also, humans are creatures of habit. So like you have your habits, but if you go a week long without doing anything, then you kind of lose those habits. And so I've gotten better at bouncing back from GDQs. It's like something that I've had to learn how to do. Like when you get back, you have to be in your mind, like, okay, I know this is going to be hard to get back into things. I know, like, I'm not going to have as much energy. I'm not going to have as much motivation to get in there, but I will try my best. I will start streaming as soon as I can. Like, if you beat around the bush when you get back and you give into the urge to be lazy, which I don't know if everybody gets it. I definitely get it. My friend Jerry, who I brought with me to GDQ, had it as well. He was like, he came back and he just wanted to keep like doing lazy things. Like, he's usually a very productive person and he's always on his grind, but that will knock it out of you. So it is hard to bounce back, but if you're aware of it and you actively try, I feel like I've already bounced back. Like, I'm back on my stuff. I'm getting my stuff done. I've been streaming and commentating, got the tournament started. So it's like, we're popping.
Doing your stuff. That's cool. And I guess one last point on GDQ. They did post the next SGDQ dates, and the dates were in reverse. It was like from the 30th to the 27th or whatever. Did you see that image? Wish I'd linked to it. It said Summer GDQ next year, the 17th to 14th. Right? They did it backwards instead of the 14th to 17th.
Uh-oh.
So people were like, oh my God, they made a mistake. But Edenall, wise Edenall said something beautiful. He said, I don't think that was a mistake. I think it was the most beautiful marketing decision of all time. And I think that's probably true. If you make a mistake, it's shared all over the place. If you had the correct dates, no one's sharing that crap. That's a pretty interesting thought. But okay, let's get to some other speedrunning hotness. Let's get out of this GDQ world. And unless you have any final thoughts here, of course, I want to give you the chance. Any final thoughts for your GDQ week?
Nope.
There you go, guys. Hot topics time, boys. And what I think I want to talk about is, I know you want to hit on this as well, Super Mario 64, 120 star, popping off right now. Tell us about it.
120 star is indeed popping off. There was a moment where it was kind of quiet. The 70 star league was going off for GSA, so most people were focusing on 70, and the 70 world record was getting tossed back and forth. It was really hot, between Cheese, Punke, whatever was also on the grind. Tago was in there. He got the world record for a moment. And now it's sort of shifted. We've got Liam Kings going off. He's streaming. I don't know if he's still streaming, but he was streaming today. I dropped some bits in his chat because I just love that man. And he did bop me. I am now 5th. I was 4th for like 2 years with that PB, but got bopped. Paracusia is right on the cusp. He is very capable of getting a world record. Liam King's capable of getting a world record. Akori is also out here grinding. I haven't watched Akori, but I'm sure that he's capable of it. And Punke is practicing and learning new stuff. And Cheese is also getting into 120. So 120 is sort of popping right now. It's going off.
Now you say 120 is popping, and I believe you, it is popping. But there is something that has creeped into Mario 64 in a big way, and that is randomizer, which is the enemy of world records. I think it's safe to say, right? So what are your is a randomizer is going to make the world records slower to come by? Do you think so? Because I know you're doing randomizer a lot too.
Yes, I mean, yes and no. You can compartmentalize your time. Like that's what I did. One of my recent streams, it's like I did my practice I wanted to do. I did a couple runs. Like I did what I wanted to do. And then I was like, all right, I want to do some randomizer because randomizer is so much fun. I've been racing it with Cheese and Punke a lot. Like we have been playing a lot. And there was some streams where it's like 8 hours of randomizer. And so when it gets out of control like that, and that was like when it got released. And, now the randomizer fever has sort of died down. It certainly does slow down the grind, but I'm not sure if it's like the worst thing because it's a change of pace. It's interesting content. It's fun to watch. It's a lot of fun to play. And sometimes breaks work in a weird way in speedrunning where actually taking a break can be really helpful. Like all the times that I've come back from a long break, I just have this new fresh mentality and I'm just like, I feel rejuvenated and ready to go. So yes and no. I'm for random. I'm a randomizer guy. I know that you're usually like not about it. You're like, oh, it's stopping
no,
the world records.
I think no. Let me correct. I'm definitely in for it for competitive stuff. Like I love the competitive side of it. However, I think it's bad. It is bad for world record culture, right? For the world record, chasing the world records. You know what I mean? So, but I think it just makes people change their mindset, right? Like having a world record is not the only thing you have to do in speedrunning to be cool, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But I want to know for you, since your hands are feeling good, feeling nice and greased up.
Yeah.
Are you getting back in the game anytime soon for really chasing this stuff? Or you just kind of dipping in there a little bit, dipping in the pool a little bit.
I'm dipping in the pool. I'm definitely taking a bit of a feel in the water. It has been so long since I have actually been at the grind, but I'm not working this summer. I'm planning on just streaming as much, not as much as I can, just because my hands are sort of the limiter. Like I can't go off for 6 hours, but I have been practicing a lot of 120. I've been doing like at least an hour a day of practice. It's been a lot of fun. Some 70 runs here and there. I plan on doing a 120 run this week, like later this week, just to see how it goes. Because last time I tried to do 120 was maybe December. It was December or November, and I couldn't make it past CCM, 50 minutes in. But since then, I've changed what I've been doing for my hands. I wasn't really strengthening that much. I was just stretching. And what I've learned, and what Tago also backs up this claim, he was also running into hand problems. Strengthening is key. And so the strengthening has been helping a lot. My hands are feeling better than they've felt in a very long time. And the pain is sort of shifting from like a pain to more of what it was before it turned into pain, which is like a tiredness, a tightness. So I'm sticking with the stretching. I'm sticking with the strengthening. If I can't do a 120 run still, like I got really demoralized in November when I did a run and I was like, oh, I couldn't even make it past CCM. I was like, I don't even want to play. I just stopped playing. Like I was practicing and I was still able to practice. But we'll see how it goes. If it works out, I'll be doing 120. If it doesn't, I will keep practicing 120 and doing 70 runs to beat my 70 PB because I can definitely beat my PB in 70. Like currently, I have the capability to do that. So that is the plan. I would like to bop Cheese. When I was on my grind and I had to stop playing, I was about to bop Cheese. Like it was about to happen any day. I was feeling so good. I probably had the crispest movement at the time. Now I'm like a sort of a dinosaur. I have to learn a bunch of new stuff, but it's been a lot of fun. It's super cool to see how much has changed because I've been kind of out of the community. So I haven't really been looking at what's been developing, but there's some really cool stuff and currently updating stuff in Shifting Sandland. So yeah.
And I saw even Cheese himself practicing the carpetless, which is a pretty intense thing. Now, you laugh now, we're laughing now like this will never be done. But isn't everything at one point people say like, oh, that'll never be done in a real run. That'll never be done in a real run until it is, right? So do you think there's any way that'll be a part of the real run, the world record someday? The carpetless.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I agree. It has to be, right? At some point, someone's going to be insane enough to say, I'm doing it. You know what I mean? Because there are insane people that do speedrunning. You know what I mean? Like it's going to take one insane individual to do that.
The thing is, the insanity required to practice it that much, I don't know if any of the people who actually are like 120-star world record capable will put the time in. But I think there might be someone who comes up out of the woodworks that can like get pretty consistent at it. But it, yeah, Bad Jonas brings up a good point. In its current state, it's like it's so precise, it's so difficult. It's at the end of the run. It's 50 seconds, which 50 seconds, yeah, that's a lot of time, but it's is it worth it?
Yeah.
Like if you're on the run and you're on world record pace, like maybe it's something you do as like a backup. But yeah, movement saves minutes. Like it's a strat, it's a trick. So we'll have to see. I'm curious to see what Cheese thinks because Cheese is on the grind for it right now. It was a sub goal, and I don't think he's gotten it once yet, and he's been using save states. It's definitely the hardest thing that has even been entertained to be put into a speed run.
I want to see someone like 30 seconds back of world record say, "All right, F it, I'll go for it," and then they get it first try, and then they got the world record. That's how it's gonna happen.
That would be epic.
Yeah, that's gonna happen the first time, I think. But even for most people, like 30 seconds in a world record, that's an insane time, so they don't want to ruin it. But it's got to take an insane individual to make that happen. Also,
he has gotten it a couple times.
Oh yeah, there you go. He got star twice and 4 times not getting star. There you go. So let's talk about some stuff going on. Some events are coming up in the speedrunning calendar we need to mention, of course. I want to talk about the 1545. What way? It's a smaller event, but definitely worth mentioning. That is the speedrunning event where people do Super Mario 602, which is you get 602 stars plus shines, I believe, right? And the Rareware 301%, and the Sprash Fecta all in a row, back to back. It's really crazy. It's a good second monitor stream. If you ever watch it, it's like 20 hours or something to do all that stuff. So check that out, 1545.org if you want to check that out.
Definitely.
Also,
I like that, a second monitor stream.
Yeah. That's just chill. That's where most of my stream watching goes. Next, we got to talk about the ESA, which is coming up very shortly, less than 10 days here, or about 10 days going on. ESA is pretty hot, and it's growing all the time. I couldn't mention a lot of names here. I'm just going to run through some of the names here that might surprise you that are going to be at ESA. Big John, Duckfist, Punchy, Sinister One, The Mexican Runner TMR, my favorite European runner, Fuzziness, our own Cheesy Boy, Cheese Coon, and TGH, our very own TGH, is in the house as well. So, I mean, in terms of star names, I think that's the most star-packed names to be there, maybe, in ESA. Would you agree with that?
I would not be able to tell you, to be completely honest.
Yeah. There's definitely a stacked schedule for sure, and it's good to see ESA growing. I guess I want to ask you about in terms of, there's always some kind of tweets that go out by big names. Even last time, one by. That's why I can't do live. Mario Runner, really good. Grand Pooh Bear. He said,
okay.
ESA is always kind of why does no one notice ESA? Why is ESA so not getting 10% of the attendance of GDQ? And I would ask your thoughts on that. Why do you think that might be? Because let's be honest, in terms of quality, it is as good as GDQ. Some might say even better, right? So what do you think? What's the difference there? What does ESA need to do to get bigger than GDQ? If that's their goal, of course. I'm not saying it is.
So, do you have a number for how many attendants are actually going?
Let me ask the research team here. 1 second. I'll get them on the case.
Sure.
Keep going though. Keep going with your thought though. It's a lot.
So okay. ESA came after GDQ. That is correct, right?
Yes, definitely. A year or two after.
Yeah. So my thoughts on why it's not as big is a couple reasons. Most of the speedrunners are in the U.S. A fair amount of speedrunners are in the U.S. because, especially like the bigger names, because as you grow on Twitch and stuff, you want to be more involved in the community. So you want to go to things like TwitchCon. You want to go to things like GDQ Express. And so it's a lot easier to get to those if you're in the U.S. And then, of course, that makes it harder to get out to Europe. Now, the next thing is like GDQ just happened. It was like a week ago, 2 weeks ago. Is ESA usually this close to GDQ?
It's kind of around a month apart or so. Yeah, it seems to be that's where they do it because there's only so many months in the year. But yeah, about that.
Mm-hmm. I think that plays into it as well. Like GDQ sort of has a big presence, and so when it's like only a month apart, and you're like, okay, I can only go to one event. Like, should I go to GDQ, which is more likely to have more people that I know, or ESA, which is like going to be more low key? I feel like that's why most people end up going to GDQ.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last thought I have on why that might be is ESA is literally just GDQ in Europe, right? It's not, and there's no like different thing that's like, oh, they do this, GDQ doesn't do that. As far as I know, like they're like the same event.
They do some kind of different, use different brushes to do the same painting, if you know what I mean. That makes sense. Yeah. So basically it's the same thing, but yeah. One interesting they did I want to ask you about is they have this thing that now GDQ is doing as well, which is called, I wish I knew what it was called, but it's where you can have like showcase games. So like there's like a month before the marathon, not maybe 2 months or so before the marathon, there's another round of submissions for games that they choose, and these are usually new games. So let's say the marathon is for July, and the submissions end in February, March usually. So if there's a game coming out in April, like Super Mario Maker 2, that has no chance to be in a marathon normally, right? But what ESA did is say, hey, we'll open up another round of submissions a month before the marathon, and you can submit those kind of chase games. And that gives them a chance to, the new games to get on marathon, which I think is a really smart idea. One that obviously GDQ has stolen as well. But Punchy on Twitter disagreed with that thought. So I want to see what your thoughts on that. He said the negative parts are that, it's not an optimized game, obviously, if you only had a month or two to get good at it, right? I mean, you know what I mean? So what do you think is better? Is showcasing a new game and getting those donations for having a new game more important than having only optimized games being on stream? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, there's the saying less is more, but in this scenario, even if it's not like, oh wow, perfect speed run, it's still interesting to see like the early version of a game, because if you see 1 month later and then at the next big event that this game is at, it's like a year later, you could be like, wow, it's gotten a lot faster. Like they've learned a lot, and it's kind of cool to see that progress. So that's how I see it. I think that is a very good idea.
And obviously GDQ as well.
Exposure.
Because they took it, right? And one thing, my kind of biggest thing that ESA does that GDQ does not do is they will, I don't know if they've ever said it actively, but they do put a premium on names, right? So if TMR submits Battletoads and ALT Insider submits Battletoads, even if my time's a little bit faster than TMR, which it is not, they will choose TMR at a much higher rate than ALT Insider because of the name. And I think that's smart. I mean, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that kind of equality in terms of submissions? If you had to make do you think people should be submitted on speeds alone, or should names be a part of it? Or is that important too?
That's a good question. I guess it depends on also how many times that person has already been in the marathon. Like that should be a bit of weight. Like, obviously, okay, you'd want the fastest time, like, in theory, like, okay, we want the best run.
Yeah.
But sometimes the best player is, like, someone who won't do very good commentary or, like, commentary at all, or they'll be quiet or they don't really want to do it. And so, especially when you're doing a marathon and you want memorable moments, like, nobody's going to remember, oh, this guy was so fast. Like, it was so fast and incredible. Like, very rarely that's what you remember the runs for. You remember them for the enjoyable commentary, the songs, the memes. And so those come from usually the bigger names because those people are big for a reason. They're entertaining, or they're just really, really good.
Yeah, I could agree. I think this should be done more aggressively. I think like showcase marathons that you choose who goes, invitation only, would be really cool because then you could okay, I'll make sure, for example, Blecky's always on my couch for the kind of the games that need good explanations. I want to make sure that some hype people are on the couch, like a Grand Pooh Bear or like Spike Vegeta is always on the couch for the hypeness runs I want to have. Imagine if someone did that. I think that's where we have to go to make, and Pace is taking strides in that way too with the showcase part of the marathon. Like if someone did that or could pull that off, right, would have a run where it's big names and it's people that are doing the best at what they do in terms of commentating. Because like you said, commentating is half or more of what makes a run entertaining at a marathon. You know what I mean? Maybe 75% even. Because, the difference between first and 10th on the leaderboard, normally people cannot see that, ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No difference. No idea. And we're talking about, if you watch a Super Mario 64 run, and someone gets, whatever time it is, an hour time, and the next person gets a 50-minute time, a normal person has no clue the difference there. They'll never see that. So I think like this kind of idea of the fastest runner should get in, and it's probably by a few seconds, is so ridiculous, right? It's just the only thing that make the good point about it is it could keep the people having the motivation to try, right? Because if you do have my kind of stuff, what I'm proposing of only the best personalities and skilled commentators, then maybe some people would say, well, I don't want to be a speedrunner because I can't ever get there. I'm not a big name, so I have no chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that it's important to give like a decent representation. Like, yes, sometimes you should pick the name, but other times you should allow someone to shine, because you never know. People could be really interesting, and like it could completely change someone's life. Like the people who are already big and they're going to play the event, they're not growing that much. Like they might help to have a really entertaining run and like people really like it, but they themselves like usually aren't going to get much more bigger because people already know about them. But if you're a nobody knows who you are, and you have this crazy run and it's so entertaining, you could go from like having 10 viewers to having 100 or 200.
Mm-hmm.
And then that could be like the start of, oh wow, now I can really like go after streaming.
Yeah, you say that though, but I've seen the numbers on this. The numbers of followers people get is extremely low, like much longer than you think. Like a good run can get big numbers. Like some people have huge jumps, like the landmark runs. They get big jumps. Like Zoward 1 probably got 1,000 or a few follows, but most times it's like 150, something like that followers, which is not a lot to someone that's been doing it for a while. Steve has a good question. He said, "Is GDQ? Do you think GDQ is a motivator for people to try to speedrun and get good times?" I think yes. Because I think some people out there really put GDQ on a pedestal. Like, wow, if I get on GDQ, that'll start my streaming career. Though that's a stupid idea. I think. What do you think about that? Do you think that's a motivator for people to get to GDQ?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, you obviously want to do your run and it's fun to show it off, but it's also like it can be really good exposure. And if you do it right, like you can get okay, Wilco. I don't know if this is true, but I believe him. Like somebody got 12K followers from Dark Souls 3.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That was a great one because that's one of those landmark ones. That's the guy. What's his name? Jesus, there's Toast. Maybe you're talking about. I think that was one of the ones where like everyone was talking about that run. Those runs are cool, but they're very few and far between. Savvy, I was wrong person there. Those runs are rare, few and far between, though. Yeah. So, it's a good goal to have, though. I mean, it's always good to have a carrot, right? To get there, to like, I want to be there one day. I want to be on that stage. But I don't know. It's people. I guess that goes back to the question of what's people. A lot of people want to be professional streamers, right? A lot of people want to have these subs and sub points and all this stuff. What's the fastest way to do that? Do you think? Like, I'm sure a lot of people out there think if I can get to GDQ, I'll hit it big and I'll have all these subs. But that's not right? Like, yeah,
usually it depends on who you are. If you have like this crazy charisma, then you could pop off on GDQ. But the meta nowadays, from what it seems like, is YouTube. Like it seems like people are now like starting on Twitch nowadays. It's very hard. Like there's so much competition, so many people trying to do the same thing. Even if you have a crazy good stream, people are not going to the bottom to watch someone that has 1 viewer or 0 viewers.
Nope.
Like, you got to be on the grind, and YouTube allows, like, YouTube's really interesting where you can, if you're making good content and you have like this amazing clickbait and amazing thumbnail and you have the amazing content on top of that,
get the faces going.
Like, you can blow up.
Yeah.
Gotta
get the faces arrows going. Yeah, I think a sideways way is, imagine if someone here in the next week or whenever got the 120-star Mario 64 record out of nowhere, right? Didn't stream a day and got the world record. Of course, people would question the world record and I'm sure watched the video very carefully. But let's just assume he got it legitimately and was proven legitimate. Imagine how many people would watch that stream right away. Now, you'd have to keep them, right? They wouldn't stay. But a lot of people would check you out if you got that even if you got, let's say, a top 5 time, right? People would want to hear about that, right?
Definitely. That is another way that will always be there, and that is a really cool thing about speedrunning is like if you put in the work, but the thing is that can't really be the motivator because you're going to burn out if your motivation is like, okay, I want the world record because I want to get the viewers.
True,
like
true.
You just have to have the passion, and if you have the passion and you do something like that, you will definitely grow. Like, who was it? It was either I think it was Nero. Like Nero came out of nowhere and just bopped everybody and got the world record, and it was really hype. And his stream didn't have mic or webcam or anything, and he would get hundreds of viewers.
Old Siglemic school.
Yeah, Siglemic style. Well, you need to have the mic on so you can hear
That's
true. That's how you get the Siglemic vibe.
That's true.
The microphone like right next to the controller. I like that stream.
But there you go, guys. I don't know how we got off on this tangent about growing a stream, but there you go. A very tangenty stream there for you. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we get ourselves out of here? Any hot topics on your mind you want to talk about?
No, that's probably it. I think we covered some good ground here, my man.
Some great ground. Any last questions from the chat? This is your time to ask the great Simply a question, or ALT Insider, of course. I'm here too, but Simply's the man you got to hear. We'll give him a second here. What are your plans for the rest of this week? Come on.
Plans for the rest of this week. I'm going to karaoke on Thursday.
Fun.
Going to do a 120 run later this week. See how that goes. What do you think about the SMS record being broken after 2 years? We glazed over that, actually.
We did glaze right over that.
The glazing is there. We're peeling the glazing back. We're going back in. Ouija is a nut. Honestly, I don't know. It took him like a fair amount of time. I feel like he's been able to get that record for so long. Ouija's just crazy, though, because he's insanely good at Mario 64 and insanely good at Super Mario Sunshine. Pretty hype. Oh, and the Wind Waker barrier skip.
Yeah,
that's
true.
also crazy.
We should talk about that. Look at that. We missed so many things. We're just glazing over everything here.
A lot of glaze. But we're also at the hour mark, and we got the time constraints.
We got to dip out. So quick thoughts.
Yeah.
What's the Wind Waker barrier skip? Awesome. Carpetless being attempted. Awesome. I said earlier. I hope it happens to be in a run one time. Just pop off everywhere. That'd be a good YouTube video. Speedrun.
That'd be crazy.
Speedrun summit at Simply's house. Yes or no?
I'm down. I'm down. That's happening next week.
Get the tickets. Get the lanyards going. We got to have all that stuff going. He'll be to work on that right away.
Speedrun summit would be very cool. That would be very interesting.
Final shout outs. GSA. Thanks for the shout out. Thanks for letting us do the show. Simply your shout outs. Go ahead quickly.
Shout outs to GSA, of course. Shout out to Badronis. He's so cute. Shout out to Scotch and Tie Guy. Been putting in the work on the commentary. Shout out to Steve O'Broyle. Legendary, beautiful man.
Shout outs to Stiverson. Shout outs to Cheese, our cheesy boy. He was not here today. Shout outs to Bad Raina. Shout outs to everybody. We'll see you in the next show 2 weeks from now. It's going to be awesome.
Peace.
Later.